Is motorsport. It's actually, we are glad to have one of our guests happy on time, and we're actually having a lot to discuss with Oscar Kihika. Those who have known him in the long circles, I will not speak for him. Oscar is a very prominent man in the sport and then in the world over with Uganda in the circles of motorsport and the other bit of the professional. Oscar, we are glad to have you on set, and we're so much honored having you again.
Thank you very much.
This is your first time seeing motorsport on play.
Yes, that is true.
Oh yeah, we are glad having.
First time to be here, and thank you very much for inviting
I'm
me.
glad having him. Oscar, I have known Oscar for some good time. I may not have known him for long, but then it's over like a decade when I got into involving in motorsport. I got to know an intellectual gentleman who was leaving his books in the office, comes down to some sport people. Some of the people call us in. It's a sport of the mad people. No, we are not. Actually, Oscar is here to satisfy that. How mad are the rally drivers?
Well, I don't think it's about madness. I think it's about skill.
Skill.
And discipline, by the way.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Like in every sport. Like in every sport. Motorsport, like every other sport, has got rules, regulations. That's from the you know, just like in football.
In football,
you've got your rules and your regulations.
Yeah.
In terms of the participants, it's not just a matter of driving quickly or fast or madly. It's about skill.
Sure.
It's about skill, and it's about strategy, just like any other sport. There are days when you've got to choose to drive either defensively or offensively.
How offensive do you go in a rally car?
Well, you see, it depends, first of all, on the course, okay? The course is the one that determines, and the machine is what also the machine that you have, and the setting up of the machine.
Sure.
The tires, the tire choices that you have, for each particular course. There are certain courses which are tight, where the COC will design tight courses. Tight courses mean that you've got a lot of inlet arms,
bit of brakings,
you've got a lot of corners and stuff like that. Not too many straights. That means that basically, on such a course, it's more about how you are going to take the quickest time in the tightest corners. So, and that's where your skill really comes in very, very much.
Well, Oscar has walked us through the dynamism of the rally. Those who call the mad guys, yes, I may say we are mad, but then sincerely, we are not craziest. We may not be the craziest guys onto the creature. Oscar, a bit of the introduction as we walk into the Grand Prix, the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Yes.
People would need to know, because I got you onto set immediately because there was something I thought you could punch in straight away. Who is Oscar Kihika, and then how do you attach yourself as a professional lawyer onto the sport?
Well, first and foremost, I have Oscar Kihika. I mean, I used to, talking about the sport, I was involved in motorsport actively for almost about 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah, from about 1996 up until 2003. I came in as one of the officials of Mozak. I think at the time it was Secretary of Mozak. I rose to being President of Mozak. And then I was the event manager for the Pearl of Africa Rally.
That was which year?
That was 2001, 2002, 2003, 2003. Then after that, you know, my term as president of Mozak came to an end, and then eventually subsequently I was elected to the position of vice president of FMU.
As in under administration or technical?
Under administration.
Okay.
And I served there for about 2 terms, and then I let it go.
Well, he's a principled man. For the little I know him, he's a principled man who sticks to his guns, and then, believe me or not, he wouldn't be one of the few who always who always go for Visanja. I actually looked at him always as an exemplary leader in the whole running of the sport. In the bit of the years walked you through Mozak, which is at least at times tagged as in a club of intellectuals. Well, Oscar was naturally thrown to the sport by Mozak, with other clubs concurrently existing alongside the other clubs. Let's have the producer walk us into the Grand Prix, the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we get to hear the ambience of it and how, as Oscar spoke about the tweets, the bends and whatever, we are actually giving a little bit of a statistic work of the the Bahrain Grand Prix. Let's get rolled into the Grand Prix, and we'll get you on to with a bit, and then after we shall let you know how the practices went and who led and what practice which first and second, and then we shall let you know. Let's get into the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we'll get to go through. Let's walk you there. Specifically, that was a little bit of a technical hink, but we're going to get you through. We promise to give you that artistic grand plan of the Bahrain Grand Prix. On to that level, Formula One, we had a very, very exciting moment of exchange. Machines were firing up all day, yesterday and today. Actually, Ferrari insurged the top leads of Nico Rosberg and teammate Lewis Hamilton by getting the first practice, taking a lead 1-2. That is the Nico Rosberg, actually Kimi Räikkönen, and then his other Sebastian Vettel. They tried their best and they beat the Mercedes drivers for the first practice, but then it was another table turn down in the second practice when Nico Rosberg took the lead position, and then Hamilton teammate came in second. Well, we had a number of subsequent discussions, and then after the Chinese Grand Prix, we had many things come alongside. Mercedes is taking a lead by Hamilton, saying, well, a teammate complained before their managers saying, no, Hamilton gave him a slowdown in the Chinese Grand Prix. I'm having Oscar is one of the few Ugandans who have always had the chance, who had the chance actually to ever attend one of the events of a Formula One. Oscar, as the producer is going to roll us the bit of the interview, a defensive interview from Lewis Hamilton, talking about what has happened since a teammate complained in the due course after him emerging winner in the Chinese Shanghai Grand Prix, saying he slowed him down for the advantage of Ferrari. And then two, it comes in by the way, by the style he popped his champagne in celebration winning the Grand Prix, the Shanghai Grand Prix. Some human rights activists in China said it was an abuse of a woman who was at the pulpit to handle him his mug and the rest. Oscar, by a bit of experience, and you've been the man who has always loved the Formula One play. What do you talk about the accusation that came along? Because on the legal bit of it, you may be advanced over there by saying, no, the man went extremely above his excitement and celebration, and then how could he inconvenience the person, the hostess who handed him the trophy?
Well, I find that complaint a little strange, because for those of you who have been following Formula One, like I have over the years, that's normally been standard celebration on the podium, actually, both in Formula One and MotoGP. You normally find the podium, people on the podium, occasionally actually spraying champagne. Even at at what those are what you call the courtesy ladies. And sometimes they're courtesy gentlemen as well. And this is the first time I've actually heard of such a complaint, such a complaint coming up. So, is it a human rights abuse? As a lawyer, really, I think that might be.
Was it a far-fetched item?
That might be pushing it a bit far. Is it a show of disrespect? It is something that is traditional that has been in the sport. Okay. Basically, what the organizers try to do, and they're always very careful about this, is that they try and respect the cultures of the countries, the host countries. Now, for example, like when they host, like in Bahrain, which is a Muslim country, or at the end of the season, when the rallies, rather when the event is held in Abu Dhabi.
Yes, that's the picture where the complaint has been raised here.
Yes. For example, they don't use alcohol-less champagne, all right? But you still see them spraying it, spraying it around. If this particular courtesy lady was the one who made the complaint. That's another matter. That's another matter. So
you, in your kind of consideration, it's so much of a far-fetched complaint.
I think, look, I think this is, it goes, I think it gets a bit much.
And I believe, just like Oscar,
it gets a bit much.
I would kind of believe it's a kill of joy, because if you like say, how could Hamilton Open Nation Ferdinand pop it over the hostess? It would kill of the joy, because I don't have a yardstick for my celebration. Look, this was a sweat out in the cockpit, and then I'm having a Riviera out to the teammate.
Well, yes, and well, is it an abuse of the human rights, for example?
That's what the activists are saying.
When they're spraying it on fellow
men,
on the fellow competitors.
Oh, no.
Also, or for example, normally when they're at the podium, the winning team goes with the driver and either or the
team manager, the chief mechanic,
or the chief mechanic, and you find them they're spraying them. Really, it's an expression of celebration. Frankly speaking, I think that it's a little bit over the top, unless the host nation comes and says, please don't know to do X, Y, Z. Then at that point, the organizers would comply.
Well, let's have the producer give us the interview of Hamilton himself, the man speaking, because the guys in Bahrain, so much popped in, actually pitched him a lot with many questions. With one closely, start with his teammate complaining before the team managers for his blockage in the Chinese Grand Prix, then two, the woman, the popping of champagne, a lot of things. Let's get to hear from Lewis Hamilton, the man himself.
I've never, ever asked for a #1 clause, and you get that. Obviously, Sebastian will have that. Fernando have always asked for that. I would never, ever ask for that. I want to beat the guy at his best next to me, and then I'll know where I stand. It's never been a case of wanting to tie someone's hands behind their back and beat them and be happy with it. And I know a lot of people here would be happy with that, but that's not me.
Don't you think you maybe have Nico's measure now? I think in the last 11 races you've won 9. He's only won 1. You can hear the frustration, particularly after the last Grand Prix, in his voice. I mean, do you feel in control of that battle now?
There's never...
Well, that was a bit of Hamilton trying to put things upright. In the practices, actually, let's have an illustration of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and then we get you through with the whole practice, how it went. I remember I told you the first day, the Ferrari guys took 1-2 back-to-back. That's they took Sebastian, Kimi Raikkonen took the lead, and then Sebastian Vettel came in second. And then the things that the table stand when Nico Rosberg took the lead, and then teammate took in the second position. Let's have a bit of explanation with the illustration of where the action is due tomorrow in the Bahrain.
International Stir. The first ever race in the Middle East takes place under floodlights. There are 15 corners on this 5.4-kilometre circuit. One of the features of this track is the elevation change. Average speed is not high at 202 kilometers an hour. It's 59% full throttle, but it's one of the toughest tracks of the year on brakes. Let's get a feel for it on a lap with last year's pole sitter, Nico Rosberg.
That's the feel of what is anticipated tomorrow in the Grand Prix. Remember, Lewis Hamilton in the lead with the maximum of 13 points above Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel, who is having actually 55, and Lewis Hamilton is having 68. Next in running in third position is none other than Nico Rosberg, the Mercedes second driver. Well, we want actually, let's have a bit of the collision that happened in the practice where Sebastian Vettel had a problem with another team rider. Let's get the ambience and then get off away from that, and then we get into the local bit of our show.
We've got a red flag situation because of the debris there that's just dropping onto the track, and it needs recovering. But who's at fault here? Or is this just one of those incidents? Bruno Senna.
It looks very strange. Everything looks very strange because Vettel didn't slow down the car. It had a little wobble on the brakes there. but he said he had a braking failure. I mean, obviously Perez thought that he was slowing down enough, and he just took the corner as he would, but a bit clumsy from Vettel there, and probably bad, I'm not saying personally, but...
And just again, I was braking for turn 1, wanted to let those cars by, then the car stopped decelerating, something mechanically broke, I think front right.
One thing is definitely, you can see his steering wheel down on the
Let's see what the action comes, what the results will be tomorrow at the Grand Prix. Actually, I'm not going to take much of your time. Let's now get into concentration. I'll beg Oscar to get tuned into a little bit of his Luganda, because I've got a message. Some people who are making a follow-up of this show are saying, oyitiriza nnyo. Oscar ojja kukkiriza tukyuseemuko. Ronald Luwangula, I'm very glad you're watching us on action. The Other Wycliffe Rally team, and remember, let me tell you, those who are in support of the Wycliffe Rally team, where myself, I'm a co-driver, just support their sponsors. That's none other than the Innovation Hotel. These are guys are located in Mukono, near UCU. For the comfort, the next rally is actually in Mukono. Those who could say, will you support us, then join us and we have a sleep at Innovation Hotel, where we are going to have a crew rest and have their preparation from there. Of that, let's get into the lock action. Oscar, right away, we are getting off gone days. Ebiseera byali birungi nnyo by the early a decade back. Naye kati bwe twogera sente kali zafuuka akasente. And I know, yo naawe ozze okola emirimu gyo ng'okola ne ba corporates abatali banjawulo. Kiki ekireese okutraininga essente zino okubanga tezikyajjanga bwe ziri nga ggwe yali ahanonzeeko event ya magnitude enene nga Pearl of Africa. Biki gwe birala ebitatuukiridde bye tulina okutereeza singa tunaaba kuddayo mu budget ezaali mu 1,200?
Well, ekisooka tulina okujjukira nti mu biseera biri, at least wenalinga ndi president wa Mozak, ekisooka competition mu field yali mpitirivu. Ojja kujjukira nti twali tulina abavuzi nga Charles Muhanji, Emma Kato, Karim Lumala,
the Chudus,
Chipa Adams and Chito. Kwegamba tetwafuna ekizibu nnyo mu kuselinga mu kutunda sport. Kati when njogera kutunda sport kiki kyentegeeza omanyi abali mu corporate field nabo bali mu competition, babeera mu competition kubanga baba balina products zaabwe ze batunda. Kati baba banoonya field ki we basobola okufuna abantu abangi we basobola okukola ki okadvertisinga brand yaabo balyoke bakole ki bateeke mu sente. Kubanga sente obwo bateekamu wabutini oba nyingi, sente bagala mileage okiraba. So mu biseera biri twali tulina field nene.
Naye ate wetwogera wano Oscar okuli ekimuli, wetwogera wano enamba egaziwa ey'abafaani yoyongera. Naye ensonga endambika lwaki budget zijja zifunda buli ssaawa. Nebagamba mwe tugenda bawa $5,000,000 mu kifo kye 10,000 kuba Hima Cement mu paala emu oyinza okuba nga yali emu kuzimba enziwategeka baleeta millioni ezitaka wansi wa 10.
Yes, nkyajukira budget gye nali managing yali egenda mu millioni 5. Million, 600 million. But of course, ekisooka mbadde njogera
ku fan base ne client level
competition ereeta fan base. Kati ekyokubiri, which is most ekisingira ddala, accountability.
Lekanawe, you mean your people where you once worked with tebasobola kola accountability?
Omanyi accountability yekikulu. Ate accountability ejja mu ngeri nyingi nnyo. Ekisooka wemba nkubadde sente ina okuddayo negamba sema mukama wange sente zewamba nazisasanya wenti. Okay, accountability esooka. Ekyokubiri, sponsor ina okulaba nti sente
kituufu zigenze kitu kyekitaddemu
nabo si basiru
baba ne bagenti
babeera ne bagenti baabwe ne batambulamu ne balaba
t-shirt mwatwadde
10 mwateeka sente meka ne bagenda mu market bamanyi kati bwogenda n'oweereza budget n'ogamba nti omanyi t-shirt
ya mutwalo gumu n'ogenda ogigula 3,000 ate egula 3,000 in actual sense
kale katugambe ogiguze 3,000 then otaddeko branding yasenje 10,000 so in total ekostinze 4,000 kati sponsor n'ogenda n'omugamba nti nkozeseza omutwalo olaba ebintu ebyo
oba omubye
abakiraba kakati nno woddayo okusaba sente for the next event of course
abakutundiraamuntu ono gwenkolagana yaluka si mutuufu Oscar wenyini simba wakati tutoke tufune ku lwendo lw'amazzi tusobole okuba nga tudda program motorsport banaffe tubebaza mwena abakyalinaffe essaawa zino mwena mbalaba sijja kumala bibaka bwamwe naye munzikirize Oscar asooka afune ku lwendo lw'amazzi tudde atandikirawo wenyini atulaga ekiwundu wekiri kyetetaaga okujjanjaba kookolo waali tuseme eddagala tusobola okulikisalira eddagala kiwone oba afuke kookolo tumanye nti okugulu tulina kutemako obutemi kuvewo tova ku WBS TV program motorsport katukomewo.
DSTV Catch-Up gives DSTV Premium PVR subscribers the best series, movies, sports, and kids shows, anytime, anywhere. Choose what you want to watch through these devices. With a PVR and DSTV Premium subscription, access your favorite shows on the DSTV Catch-Up menu, and even more content on your DSTV Explorer. If you're online, you can stream or download using your desktop player. Download or stream DSTV Catch-Up on your smartphone or tablet with the DSTV Now app. Remember, you can download and store your favorite shows and watch anytime, anywhere with DSTV.